Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday! Woohoo! Today, readers, I want to teach you how to notice when authors play with words and the kind of work that we have to do when we come across playful use of words in our reading. Now, you should have listened to the story Amelia Bedelia Goes Camping. And today I want to teach you that sometimes when authors use language in creative ways, we as readers need to do a little bit of extra thinking to understand what is meant. So, for example, in the story Amelia Bedelia Goes Camping, Mr. Rogers says, "It's time to hit the road." And Amelia Bedelia goes, "It's time to hit the road?" All right. She picks up a stick and then she begins hitting the road. Now, it's pretty silly because we know that that's not what Mr. Rogers meant. But Amelia Bedelia took it very literal, and she thought that Mr. Rogers wanted her to actually hit the road with something. So that one was pretty easy to understand for us, but sometimes as we're reading, authors will use a play on words that maybe we're not used to. So, for example, maybe you're reading a story and they talk about that there was a fork in the road. Now, you're not drivers yet, so you might think that there's actually a fork in the road, but there isn't. A fork in the road just means that you've come to a spot as you're driving and the road is going to split. It's going to go one way or the other. Doesn't mean that there's actually a fork in the road. You might have also heard that something was a piece of cake. Doesn't mean that you got a piece of cake. It just means that it was easy. So today I want you to think about how authors are using language and playing with words in the book. And I added to our understanding literary language strategies. And the next one is to figure out what playful language really means. Like I just went over a fork in the road and a piece of cake. But I want you to look for other things in the stories that you're reading that might be playful uses of words. So going back to Amelia Bedelia, they talk about pitching the tent. Now, those of you who are baseball fans, when you pitch something, it means that you're going to throw it, right? Pitch is a very multiple meaning word, but in this sense, pitch the tent means to actually put the tent together, construct it. But Amelia Bedelia thinks that pitching the tent means to throw it, and she actually throws the whole tent away, right? So as you're reading today, I want you to be on the lookout for your authors of the books that you're reading using language and words in different ways, multiple meaning ways. And when you come across that, I want you to stop and think about, wait a minute, is this word really being used the way that I'm used to it being used? Now, this is a perfect lesson for you to use the stop and jot strategy of using a Post-it with a question mark. If you come across a word that's being used differently than what you're used to, don't be afraid to put a question mark and then talk about it with somebody in your family that maybe is older than you and can go over that kind of figurative language with you. Have a fantastic Friday, everybody, and an even better weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.